Lights, camera, action.
Shall we get started?
Sure,
Welcome. Welcome once again to our stories, to telling why we're here, who we are, and why being a part of community matters. So we're going to start today with each of you kind of getting to tell your early story, as well as how you met and how you came together, and then how we enter into this place in your journey. So who would like to get started? Who wants to go first to tell their story?
I'll go first.
Carol, will you tell us your story?
I grew up in a small town in northwestern Pennsylvania in McKean County, which is up toward Erie, kind of 100 miles this side of Erie. A very small town, and I grew up Catholic. So I made a big change when I got married. But anyway, everything in our area was factory work or something like that, and I loved everything about secretarial work. So my mother's family lived in Philadelphia, and her brother worked at a bank down there, and he was able to scout around and find a position for me in a bank down there. So when I was just short of 21, I lived with my aunt and uncle in New Jersey for a year, and commuted into Philly and worked in the bank. And then I moved. After that year, their son came home from the Navy and needed his room back. So I moved into Philadelphia and roomed with an older woman who I had worked with. She had retired in that time. And while I was down there, I had met a young guy who lived in the area, and we started dating. And eventually, no, not you. Not you, yeah.
That's what he's saying. It's not him.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, they were friends, and through knowing the other person, I got to know Rich, and, well, we had broken up long before. In fact, it was a trip to Virginia Beach, which we were all talking about Virginia Beach, because that's where our daughter's about to move. I had gone with him and his mother for a week vacation down there, and once we got back, I said, that's it. That week was plenty. So a few months later, anyway, through him, I met Rich, and we started, we had 2 or 3 other couples that we would go out with and do things with down there. In the meantime, after I went to live to room with this older woman, my brother and sister-in-law moved from up in the northwestern part, and I lived with them and helped take care of their little girl with their swing shifts. She was a nurse, and he worked overnight at a bank when the computers were as big as the room, and they had an overnight shift at the bank. So anyway, we got together and started going out, and a year later we got married. And then, shall I tell the rest how we moved here?
No,
or do
I'll get to that.
You do that part. Yeah.
Okay, I started off in small town of Hazleton. I was born early April. Wasn't supposed to be born until mid-May. So I was this little itty-bitty preemie. Spent most of the first 90 days in the hospital. Then I never did know my dad because he was in the military. 1950, the war was going on, and I have one picture of him with me, and that was it. I lived most of the time out at my grandparents' farm. So for the first 6-7 years of my life, I was up in the morning feeding the chickens and collecting the eggs and things that way. My grandparents had 300 chickens, hens, yeah, lots of eggs for a 6-year-old. But I loved the farm. I loved that area. In 1956, my mom remarried to my stepdad, which to me was my dad because he's the only dad I ever knew. He worked for PP&L at the time, and he got hurt and could no longer do the lineman type work that he was doing on it. In 1957, my younger brother was born. In 58, we moved to Abbotsford Project. Now, has anybody ever lived in a project home? You don't want to.
It was in Philadelphia.
It was
they
in
moved to Philadelphia.
And going from a multi-acre farm to a project home where you had 2 bedrooms on the 3rd floor. Myself and my older brother slept in the 1 bedroom. My mom and dad slept in the other bedroom. And my younger brother slept in the closet. That's why I say you don't want to go these type of things. We did end up buying a home in the Olney section a couple years later. Had a backyard. It wasn't as big as my patio. So we were there. I was brought up Episcopalian, strict Episcopalian. Here I found out that originally why we went to that church was my great-grandfather was the minister and married my grandmother and my grandfather in that church. So here we got Catholic and Episcopalian, and we got engaged. And my mom says, I'm not going to the Catholic Church for a wedding. That was Sergeant Joan. Not you, Joan. So we got to thinking, what could we do? What we will do that. We certainly didn't want my mom not to show up at the wedding. So we went where my younger brother was attending church, and we went to the Methodist church in the neighborhood. We got married Methodist, and while we were still in Philadelphia, we stayed at that church there. At that church, I ran the youth group, taught Sunday school, and also worked with the daycare center.
I worked in the daycare center all week, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then I had an opportunity to move to Allentown. It was supposed to be for one job, one project for Air Products and Chemicals Incorporated. I got hired direct about 6 weeks after I started. We started looking for houses and selling our house down there on it. So we rented an apartment temporarily until we got to the house where we were at. Worked there and worked for Catalytic Incorporated, United Engineers, and did a lot of traveling. Allentown to Utah, Utah to Georgia, back to Allentown.
Columbus,
Ohio in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my routine. Fly to this site, fly to that site, fly to that site. And then I'd get a week at home. Wasn't that nice of them? But Billy Joel decided in 1982, he wrote that song. Out of work in Allentown. Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Being an electrical engineer, we're the last ones to get fired. Mm. So I saw the structural group, and I saw the civil group. They're gone. And the plumbing and piping group, they were gone. So my resume started flying, and I came down, interviewed at AMP, BMY, and Hershey Chocolate Company, all on the same day. Because it was 100 miles away. By Friday of that week, I had 3 offers. Then I started finagling to, well, what can you give me besides me working for you?
Well, by this time we had a 2-year-old.
Yeah, Jen was born up in Allentown. And back then, housing was 13.5% interest.
Yep.
You think it's bad now? It's 6. Try 13.5. So we were looking for housing. We're looking for what it was and things this way. We finally found the house that we're living in 39 years ago.
30,
Wow.
yeah.
39 years ago.
Mm.
And very happy that we're there.
41 years.
Oh, yeah, because Jen's
41 years,
43.
yeah.
41 years ago. We started looking around knowing that our Christian faith is a very high priority for all of us. With it, we went to the Presbyterian church and we went to a Methodist church, and then we came here, and Elspeth Shumway took my Jen by the hand, and she became the little mother. You remember that?
They had the stage in the other room. They would have the
You've heard the
stage
story.
up for the kids.
She might have been 4. Jen was 2 at the time.
Yeah.
And,
So, you know, like yesterday.
Yeah.
you know, well, only 41 years ago,
Yeah.
that's all.
And everyone was
And everybody
very
here-
nice. And
Made us feel like we were part of the family. So we decided we would transfer from the Presbyterian church up in Allentown. So now I'm Episcopalian, Methodist, and Presbyterian, and transfer to UCC. Is there anything I missed?
no, not a thing. Time to go.
But we have always felt like a family here, and the people kind of accepted us right off the bat, and that's why we joined the Homostown Church.
And it was close.
Yeah, it's only a mile away.
Mile.
Distance helps.
And
Yeah,
having a 2-year-old.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Next question.
You've had a lot of transitions in your life.
Oh, yeah.
What has felt constant throughout your lives?
Her? We have just celebrated our 49th anniversary
Yeah.
in May 11th. One of the traditions that we have done from the time we have gotten married was we have bought flowers for the church that we attend. And we originally started off passing them out to only the mothers that showed up on Mother's Day. But that was the tradition of the flowers that you received last week. And I hope to continue that for the rest of my life, as far as that goes, because it's important. We got married the day before Mother's Day on it. So that was, important thing to recognize mothers on that day.
Well, I would say living in the Hummelstown, Hershey area is our constant because everything else was so long ago that,
Yeah, you kept moving around and then you got here and stopped.
Yep.
That's what you're telling
Yep.
me. This was it. It was the end.
Yeah.
This is absolutely the place you needed to be.
Yeah. If anybody has ever seen the view from my front porch, it's breathtaking. It's
Certain times of the year, of course.
It's 100 and some acres of farmland right in front of the house, and nobody has built there yet.
For sale signs have been up for years. But
I know.
what did you say?
She says, we're lucky for the zoning is what it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not on that area.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
there is a beauty to happening to be on those borders. I grew up on a similar border in Oregon, but so when you were raising your family here, what was that like? What was it like to have
in the church?
Yeah. So I mean, Jen came here as a 2-year-old, but then
Becky was born while we were here. Yeah. Big Sunday school. Kurt Weber's wife, Jenny, pretty much ran the Sunday school. Linda remembers that, of course. Yeah. And we'd have summer Bible school programs that, she'd bring kids from Chambers Hill. She'd have carloads of kids, and they came from everywhere. And it was really, very busy, lot of young people. But it seems like when that group of young ones grew up, left for college, everywhere they went, it just didn't get replaced. And that was where the big change happened. Yeah, they had a great youth group. Carol Hoover and I one time took the youth group to Atlantic City.
What were you doing with youth group in Atlantic City?
Well, she and
they were on the beach.
She and I tried the casino for a short while. I kept feeding her more money, but then we stopped because I didn't do bad. But that was just a very short time we were in there. It was beautiful. But the kids all had fun on the beach, and yeah, a lot of memories. Matt's car broke down. Matt Hoover had driven some of the kids, and his car broke down while we were down there. So there was always something going on. And when Becky was a baby, up to a couple years old, we would bring her in and lay her out flat in the pew, and she would sleep there, and nobody minded or anything. It was just,
But
just felt at home that she could sleep there.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
But talking about like Sunday schools and stuff like that, we had nursery, 7, 8 kids in the nursery.
Dottie Harpel was one of the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the kindergarten class.
Oh, she was kindergarten. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Peg Heisey was nursery.
Yeah.
Dave and Sheila Heckman taught 3rd and 4th grade, or 1st and 2nd. I taught 3rd and 4th with it. And who was 5th?
I don't remember. But...
Bob Harpel was 5th and 6th.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They were 5th and 6th grade. And then we had
high
another
school
group
class.
High school and junior high class upstairs with it.
Yeah.
It was not uncommon to have 35, 40 kids in Sunday school at any one given Sunday, with it. I think that was pretty much a norm as far as it went. After the Shrums were all born, I decided I was going to start a puppet ministry here. And we did the puppet ministry for close to 10 years. We had a goal every year to visit 10 nursing homes and put on a 1-hour worship program with puppets. So we had puppets doing the worship. We had puppets doing the services. The kids did singing and things this way. And thank heavens for pickup trucks. But as those kids grew up, we didn't have other ones coming up to replace them.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, too, because the amount of transitions that both of you did in your early life is very similar to what people my age and younger are doing now. Mm-hmm. And so whereas they may have grown up here, they now are flying off to other places in the same pattern, but in a different place.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that your life that brings you to here, to that stability for you, and how similar that is to so many people in their 20s and 30s now. And we like to think of everybody sat still when they're at this point in time, and everybody moves now. But really, you guys are proof that transition is a huge part of all of our lives.
When I was little, we moved quite a bit in the same area, but to different houses until I was like second grade, and then we stayed there. But before that, we did a lot of traveling, not traveling, but moving house to house. Yeah.
So how do you know where is home?
Where's home?
Yeah.
This is home.
This is home.
Yep.
Right where we're at.
Central PA. He said several years ago, we should think about moving a little south when we retire. And I said, why? I mean, everything, medical facilities right here. You're right where everything is happening, really. So.
And we're very contented living in our small ranch home.
Mm-hmm.
With these.
Yeah. I'm doing the stairs a lot more for the laundry and all that's downstairs now, but that's okay.
I ain't even allowed to cut the grass. Anybody want to cut the grass?
Sorry, I'm not taking you up on that one.
I thought I'd ask anyway.
I've always said I would do it, and he wouldn't let me near the mower. Now he'll have to let me near the mower.
What? Huh? That's what grandkids are for. I think I'm going to ask Bill. But our neighbor already has volunteered to cut the grass when she cuts hers. Those of you who are with Rebuilding Together, Janet, Chuck, and Bella have been part of our Rebuilding Together team for about 3 or 4 years now. So Jen just says, hey, if you don't mind, I'll just mosey on over and mosey on back and go from one lawn to the next and things that way.
That's wonderful.
So I'm very fortunate. I have a great Christian family next to me, and she's going to be cutting my grass for me.
Where do you put your hope? What gives you hope?
The old cliche, the grandchildren. I feel like ours are totally special. They stay as they are right now, the older ones. If they really feel like they look like they feel, things, if they could influence others, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I have to say, I put my faith in the youth of today, meaning, people Morgan's age at 16 and Joey's age 17. These kids are smart.
Yeah.
And kind is what gets me. Just good people.
Yeah. What was that, Barb?
They're not the ones you hear about.
No.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I am very fortunate, and I honestly will say, we have great grandkids from the littlest one all
Wonderful,
the way up.
you mean? No great grandchildren.
No.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Wonderful grandkids. Yeah, no great grandkids.
That would be an early one.
That would be scary.
Not by our age, but.
The grandkids have definitely kept us active.
Yep.
Between soccer games, dance recitals, at one time running Morgan back and forth between dance and theater, where she was doing plays at Hershey's Theater.
Orthodontist and voice lessons.
Voice lessons, orthodontist. They've kept us very busy, and yet Sundays, we always had time to gather for dinner at our house, and I try to make something special for that Sunday dinner, and we sit down 6 o'clock at night, 5:30 at night, and we have dinner together and thank God for family and for them. That has been a wonderful tradition to have, and I am going to miss it when Joey has to leave and go to college after next year. It's not going to feel the same, but we'll continue doing it. Adam's only 10, so we've got lots of years. So I feel very comfortable where I'm at in my life. I feel very comfortable living and being a part of this church for 41 years.
Yeah. What are the stories that have challenged you? What has happened in your lives to have challenged you? How did you overcome those challenges?
Challenges? Where do you want to start? I'll start on this one. Elementary school, my older brother was 3 years older than me. He was the hellion. You name it, he did it. 6th grade, 7th and 8th grade was on the 3rd floor of the school that I was attending. And I happened to hear one of the teachers, "Oh no, not another Hebel. He's such a pain in the ass." And at that point in time, I was determined, okay, I'm not the same person as my brother. Don't judge me on that. That same teacher said, "Oh, if he ever makes it through high school, he is so stupid." Well, I was a slow learner. I had a reading disability. On it, I went out for special reading classes. But the thing that changed my life was music. In 7th grade, I was asked by the music director of the district to try out for the All Philadelphia Junior High School Select Chorus. This was the best 100 voices in the middle school, junior high range. Here's shy little me. You want me to do that? I had a math teacher, Mr. Stroud, an ex-military sergeant that I could talk to like we're talking now. And he says, "Rich, do it. If you don't make it, you don't make it. So what? You tried out." So I tried out, and I walked in to an auditorium of about 1,000 kids trying out for 100 positions. Guess what? I made it. I sang first soprano. I sang baritone. I sang tenor. And wherever they needed me, I moved. So music was a major part of my life and became even more important as I went through high school, because I sang for the All Philadelphia Choir. I sang for the Operetta Theater out of the Academy of Music. "49 years ago." Carol knows what's coming. Our wedding, Carol and her dad enter the back of the church. The organ started, bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba. And the music stopped. I turned around, faced Carol, and sang a dedicational hymn called "Each for the Other and Both for the Lord." It was him dedicating me to her life with me, and our life to God. Barb's over here almost and she don't even know the words. There was not a dry eye in the church when I got done, but I felt that that song was how I felt. Because faith, family, and now a new family was what was important in my life. For those of you who have been here 3 times so far, I guess, I have sung other dedicational hymns. The last one happened to be Love Changes Everything. And at that time, Carol was given a ring and earrings from 2 of the grandkids.
Aww,
As I was singing.
that's very cool.
So it's still a strong part of my life.
How did you know this song for some time and just decided to stand up and was the organ working?
What?
During the wedding
At the-
march?
No.
How did he plan it out?
The organist was a cousin of mine. And I finagled through him that this was what we were going to do. Nobody else knew it except myself, my mom, and the organist. And he went over from the organ to the piano, and he followed with it. I'll do the refrain.
No, come
No?
on.
Okay, I won't.
People want to get home.
Yes. But, yeah, it was something that I have heard, and I had a copy of it, and yes, I just decided it was time to do it.
Choose the right person.
Mm-hmm. I knew. Blush, blush, blush.
Me? Mhm.
No.
A little warm.
Does anyone have questions they would like to ask?
Tell me.
Carol, what did your parents do when you married a Protestant? Have any problems with that?
Carol, what did your parents feel?
They didn't, because my mom's family was all Catholic. My dad grew up Methodist, but when he married my mother, he stepped away from the church because they couldn't get married in the Catholic Church because he was Protestant, but they could get married in the little
The chapel.
the little
Or
chapel.
the outside.
And he felt that the whole time the ceremony was going on, that the priest was kind of putting you down if you weren't Catholic, So, so it didn't bother him that, or her really, that I was going away from the Catholic Church. And I truly hadn't been while I was living in Philly and with my aunt in New Jersey and all. I wasn't keeping up that much anyway. I didn't feel like I was, making a big change.
Catholicism wasn't a part of your identity.
Right. Well, we grew up terrified of the priests and nuns. I think a lot of Catholic children used to be.
Oh, good. Slightly different than here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Other questions?
I can't hear
What-
you.
What kept you grounded during challenges in your life?
Nothing. I am not grounded in any way. I just try to get through them as best I can. And I've just always been totally insecure, and I don't know, I just try to keep a low profile and get through the situation. Not wonderful, but that's me.
But you've gotten through so many. And so there certainly is an ability to get through hard times.
My grandchildren wonder why I cry all the time. It just, it doesn't have to have a reason. It just has to come out.
This is perfectly okay.
Oh,
Tears are a great way to get through.
I know. That's why I'm not worried about it.
Other questions? Going once?
Where'd you go to college?
Which one? When I graduated high school, I went to Rider College because I got a partial scholarship there. I finished my associate degree at Rider College, ran out of money because I was paying for my own education completely. When I did that, I took classes at Temple. I took classes at Lehigh. Temple in Philadelphia when we lived in Philadelphia. The Engineers Club offered classes also. When we went up to Allentown, I went to Lehigh for different courses and different programs. When we came down here, I think I probably had 96 or 100 credits, minus the 40-some that they already took off of me from transferring from school to school to school. And I actually finished my degree at Elizabethtown, 20 years after I started.
Wow.
But I did.
You did it.
Yes. I taught at HUCC for 30 years.
What is the gift that you're hoping to leave to your family, to this world? What is it that you are hoping for being known as?
Pep.
Grandparents that really love them. Grandparents that really love them, and hopefully showed them how to, treat their youngins as they go.
Love is a good thing. It's a good thing to.
I think the thing that I want them to know is faith in Jesus Christ, and that He'll see you through the hard times as well as be with you during the good times. That family is important, and there's nothing more important than those two in your life, followed by your health.
Do everything you can to live every day you've got. You guys are living proof of that.
Yeah. When we first came down here, Derry Presbyterian,
we
we
went to Derry
tried.
Presbyterian.
Somebody in
We went to
Allentown had said, "Oh, there's a great Presbyterian church here," but
and
we found them very cold and not friendly. But now they are very friendly there, and our kids go there.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep you.
Okay, thank you. If we're good.
Other questions?
Going once?
Going
Going
twice.
twice?
Why did you
Why?
need to move house to house?
For me, it was the only way that we could live. I don't know if you or know what the term a military brat is. That's a dad that's in the service, and he traveled because of being in the military. But I was a military brat when I was a baby, and that's why I lived at my grandparents' farm a lot of the time, because it was a stable location that I could call home. But my mom and dad had to move from the Hazleton area to Philadelphia because that's where my dad got his job. He started off as a custodian for C. Schmitz and Son. That's the beer company, yes. And in his time there, we bought a house on real small street. Only had 280 kids on the block.
One block.
One block. But of course, the McKees had 15, the Osbornes had 12.
So you're only talking 20 families.
But that's why we moved to Lowndes.
What?
Another question?
That was a good question, Tyler.
Yeah.
I seem to be getting hung up here.
Seeing
Just
none.
in time, I'm.
Oh, no. Just starting to come off wrong.
Seems like something with the thing is pulling.
Oh. Well, then I guess it's time to take off the mics.
I guess.
Going.
Thank you both for sharing
thank
your
you.
lives with us.
Thank you.